We live in a world that produces more food than it has ever produced in human history. We have engineered crops to withstand pests, built refrigerated supply chains that span oceans, and created an abundance that would make our ancestors look like they were living in a constant famine. And yet we have food banks. And yet we have hunger. We tend to think of hunger as a problem of scarcity, that there simply isn't enough to go around. But what if the opposite is true? What if the problem isn't scarcity, but abundance? What if the very existence of surplus food is not a sign of success, but the primary mechanism of inequality? To understand why surplus creates inequality, we have to understand the economics of food. Food in a capitalist market is not just sustenance, it is a commodity. And, like all commodities, its value is determined by scarcity. If there is a surplus of tomatoes, the price drops. If the price drops too low, it becomes unprofitable for the farmer to pay workers to pick them, to package them, to ship them. The tomato on the vine becomes a liability, not an asset. So what do you do with a liability? You destroy it. This isn't a glitch in the system, it's a feature. Throughout history, we have seen farmers plow crops back into the earth, or dump milk rather than sell it at a loss. Because the moment you give that surplus away for free, you destroy the market. You undercut the ability of the farmer to sell the next batch. We then built a quality control system around this scarcity model. Supermarkets demand cosmetically perfect produce, because they know they have the power to pick and choose. The ugly carrot, the slightly bruised apple, this is surplus that doesn't fit the aesthetic. It is excluded from the supply chain immediately, deemed worthless before it even has a chance to be food. This brings us to the charity machine. Food banks and pantries are presented as the moral solution to hunger. They are the bandage on the wound. They take the surplus, the liability that the market has rejected, and redistribute it to those who cannot participate in the market. On the surface, this seems good. We're feeding people with food that would otherwise rot. But look closer. What is actually happening? Food waste is a cost. Disposing of food costs money. By donating, corporations get a tax write-off, reduce disposal fees, and get positive PR. The food bank becomes a necessary outlet for the market's inefficiencies. But here is the inequality part. The people receiving this food are not customers. They are disposal sites. They are the human landfills for the surpluses of the wealthy. They eat what the market cannot sell. This creates a two-tiered food system, one for paying customers, who get choice and dignity, and another for the poor, who get the unpredictable leftovers. This is what sociologist Janet Perpendick called the charity scab. It allows the state and the economy to abdicate responsibility. The surplus food becomes the excuse not to solve the root cause of poverty. But the inequality isn't just economic, it's psychological. When you rely on surplus, you lose agency. You don't get to choose what you eat based on your health needs, your culture, or your taste. You get what is left. If the market overproduces sugary cereal, that's what you eat. If the system has a surplus of processed cheese, that's your dinner. Hunger is solved technically, but nutrition is not. Health becomes a luxury. Surplus creates a permanent underclass of consumers who are dependent on the inefficiencies of a system designed without them in mind. You aren't a neighbor. You are a beneficiary. You aren't buying bread. You are receiving assistance. This dynamic reinforces the power structure. The giver holds the power. The receiver must be grateful, must accept the waste. It is a relationship built on the premise that the poor are a problem to be managed by the excess of the rich. We look at a full supermarket and think we have solved the problem of food. But a supermarket is not a society. It is a fortress. Surplus food is not a sign of success. It is a sign of a broken distribution system. As long as we treat food as just another commodity, there will always be an incentive to destroy it rather than share it. And as long as we treat hunger as a problem for charity rather than a failure of the economy, we will continue to build a world where the dumpsters are full and the tables are empty. Because in a world of surplus, hunger isn't an accident, it's a design.